This episode of the Talking Bit podcast is brought to you in part by Gigamov. Check out www.gigamov.com for all your pop culture news from up-and-coming journalists from all over the globe. That's www.gigamov.com.
Episode 11.
Welcome, brethren.
Come on, Cam. Don't leave us dry.
Fuck. You two just killed my soul just then. Well, if you are managed to endure that, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Talking Bit. Boys, how are we today?
Cam is dead. We're good, obviously. We're singing. Cam, how's your day? You're not singing, so...
Oh, I'm a little lethargic today, but I'll break through. Don't worry, mate.
Too many Kit Kats at work.
What we like to eat.
Not enough, actually. Maybe that's what.
The Chucky High.
But what do we got today? So, what I'm really excited about is to especially hear from you guys up front is about IEM. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be also hitting up Quake Champions, and we're going to look at Injustice 2 as well. So,
Dead
IEM
Shot 2.
IEM. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to physically make the event despite it being across the water.
Let's look, before we get into this segment, let's get something right here. How bad was your throat? It must have been absolutely shocking.
My throat?
Yeah. You said you had a sore throat at the time, right?
Well, I said I was unwell, but it was more symptoms than just a sore throat.
See, guys, we're trying to squeeze Cam because we are going to talk about IEM, and I know he's already burning that he didn't get to go.
I am burning. So, it was literally across the water, but I was just so hit and miss. I was like, is no point just rocking up, and then I just like literally get in there and go, oh, fuck, I just want to rest, and then head back and shit.
Spread
it's
the
just,
death to 80
man, that shit didn't, spread the death, exactly. The death didn't leave until last week, man. It was fucking nightmare. But yeah, at least it allowed me to experience the event virtually, so I can actually contribute in that regard because I did make an effort to watch all the games and the finals, which was really good from this perspective. But you guys got to be on the floor, so kick it off from the top. Tell us, like, day one, opening time when you walked in. What did you see when you walked in? It was really busy for us. We got there a little later, obviously, because we were with the guys from Immunity. So we got in a little closer to the game starting, and the first thing we saw was just hordes of people, right? So walking into the stadium, there was the Intel VR experience booth right at the front. Mm-hmm. And there was just so many people, man, which was cool. Straight away, I thought, oh, like, this is fucking cool. This is an awesome, like a big crowd here. So that was cool to walk straight into. Honestly, we were so busy, I don't even remember what we did next after we walked in. I think we got beers straight away, maybe? Yeah. That sounds like that's a Marty initiative.
Something like that. But we basically bolted, as soon as we got in there and found our crew. Yeah. Ran up and just went into this auditorium that was just like, holy shit, there's actually a few people here.
It's enormous. So that was pretty sure both our first times. It's definitely my first time at Kudos Bank.
Yeah, my first time. Yeah,
it was huge.
Yeah, okay, it was one of the biggest really venues in Sydney.
Yeah, and
I think there's only one other that rivals it in size.
If you watch from the stream, I'm sure you would have seen, Cam. But if not, guys, look at Google Images. Just Google IEM Sydney. The crowd was like, it was packed, like. Floor to ceiling, it was absolutely packed.
I did find
awesome.
We'll get into it later, but I did find that the finals had way bigger turnout than the day before, from what I could see virtually. Like there was, you see the camera pan to the left, and you see all these empty seats, and it's like, oh, just pan back to the crowd.
They had the left and the right, the very far left and right were like reserved. They had all trash crap kept and all this other crap that they were keeping.
Yeah, that's because that's where they have the curtains, and the curtains actually cut off those rows, those sections. So if you start putting people into those sections and people can slip behind the curtain, then that gets sketchy. So they always leave those two free, if anyone was wondering why they do that.
No, that makes sense. You don't want them to get all fanboy on the players at the back.
There was one guy that did it. There was one guy that did it, man. One guy. Was it on stream? Did you see it, Cam? The dude that ran up and grabbed the trophy.
No. Oh, I thought I saw something like that. I thought that was all part of it. They must have edited it all well and like, oh, lol. That was a funny little act. That was definitely scripted. Yes.
Yeah, he just ran out and snatched it.
Of course, it's Sydney. What do you expect?
Mine's just like stage, which is good.
We just there with your beer, Marty going, "Yep, welcome to Sydney, mate."
That's pretty much it. But the whole crowd started cheering, "You are a wanker." It's just the most Aussie fucking call ever.
It was a pretty Aussie crowd. Like even on, you would have had to have heard it on Twitch. Like there were a lot of Aussie chants.
Oh yeah, man, it was nuts. And that was one thing that I loved about it. It was so lively. The spirit of it's something that you don't see in this way any overseas. You know, Australians have their own way of just loving, showing their spirit of love of sports, and that's what you saw here, and that is obviously what I hope drives more esports to come here.
What else had some really awesome crowds? I know Sao Paulo did when ESL first took it to
the whole time.
Took it to Brazil. Yeah, they were really into it. The Brazilian guys.
Bro, they're on point with those waves, eh?
Yeah, they always go hard, man.
And you fuck up that wave, man. They're upset. They get upset.
The Mexican wave.
Yeah, they take it. They take it serious.
They're like, they don't want you watching the match. They want you watching the wave. It's coming.
Come on, Jose.
Yeah, I don't know. There have been some really good crowds. Look at Cologne and stuff. So it was cool to see Sydney really fit in like that. It was bizarre to be there and present. Like it was very surreal. Especially the finals.
How did it perform statistically? Sold out tickets or?
Yeah, I think the numbers are out now. It was like 7,000 to 8,000 people a day going into there. 8 million people watched it on Twitch.
8 million. Wow.
Yeah, it was really good. Like it was really good. I'm pretty sure I remember Carmack tweeting that it was the most successful fully ticketed IEM so far, which would put it second to Katowice. So that's pretty good. And it was a sweet final too. Like the matches were fucking good.
Yeah, it was.
SK played out of their mind, Fallen is back.
SK back, man. Fallen is back.
So what happened on the floor before you actually went through to the stadium? Well, you said there was just boots. Was there any worth mentioning? I know Marty was into the Snapchat one, but anything beyond that?
I got so many selfies.
There were a lot of booths. There was a huge ESL merch stand. They sold out really quick as usual. They had the community stages there where they were doing Rocket League and League of Legends as well. They had a full sponsor hall. There was quite a lot to do on the floor. HyperX had people signing. Lenovo had people signing. So there was lots of signings going on. Yeah.
Community stages downstairs.
Intel, Nvidia,
there was a lot going
Razer, Corsair, any brands like that. I think Intel would have been there.
Yeah, of course. Sure. Yep, Intel were definitely there. Steel Series, right? Gigabyte, Lenovo, obviously Kingston.
Nice,
I believe ViewSonic. I don't know. We honestly didn't spend that much time in the exhibition halls where they were. Like it was so.
So what did you spend your time doing? Were you just straight into the hall, just sit down, chill out, grab some beers, and just sit and wait for the games, or?
Talking, really. Our group was huge, man. Our group was enormous.
A lot of liaising.
Minus one.
Yeah, so a lot of that, a lot of just fucking honestly trying to find people and get back into the stadium. And we had a big group. So
did you go AWOL at any time, Marty?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I was pretty.
You hyped
you followed the shepherd well.
Pretty well behaved this time. Right?
Yeah, I was shepherded well. I stayed with the flock.
He just floated about enjoying it.
Just had the Nate dog in the back, and Marty just his beard just fucking
just running along.
Yeah. That's good though. So how was the How was the presentation from your end when you were sitting in the chairs watching the matches? Like, was it easily visible, easily, you could hear it, you know, the audio was all fine and all that?
Yeah, dude, we sat at like literally probably the back of the stadium.
We were in the nosebleeds pretty much the whole time. Yeah.
It was
pretty much the whole weekend. And it was awesome. Yeah. So basically, they had above kind of the middle section, they had a bunch of TVs mounted there. In 3 directions, and then 2 more above again, I think. I'm probably remembering that wrong, but enough TVs, right? Even then, you could still see the stage pretty well from up in the nosebleeds. And honestly, we were just going to the nosebleeds because we had so many people to fit in, and this enormous, attentive IEM crowd ate up all the good ones. They were, they didn't let them up at all. It was cool. The crowd was full on.
Yeah, the Twitch presentation was great. It was smooth. It was clean. There was barely any hiccups with the stream or anything, which was great. So a good testament to our internet here that it actually held up for that.
Yes.
But these guys, they have like freaking corporate business lines. They're running like, 10 freaking connections in instead of just one like we do at home. But it was great from that regard. Like as you'd expect, it was completely professional, high grade quality presentation and broadcast online as well, which was really, really good. And it felt like the crowd was freaking loving it from what we could see. They were just going nuts. Anytime they're on camera, people were just doing the weirdest shit.
Shoeies. The amount of shoeies was impressive.
Fucking shoeies. That's what everyone.
The culture here, man.
That's the worst thing that everyone took. That's what they took away from us from Sydney is shoeies. IEM Sydney. Hashtag shoe.
Yeah. Aussies love drinking piss out their shoes.
Fuck. And I love that they're asking the host and stuff. They're like, "You gonna do shoe?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do one."
I'm an Aussie, mate. I'll do a shoe. No, the amount of shoes was impressive.
Some guy at the back. No, I got a shoe you can borrow, love.
I got a Healy.
I got a wingtip back home if you want. I'll call the Sheila to bring it down.
Getting the high top stint. Yeah. So I can fit a half litre in there.
They would too. That's the messed up part. But again, it comes back to the spirit, man. There's no shame. There's no nothing. It's just pure Aussie pride. Just purely make this event their own, Yeah,
just like Aussies love our cricket and our footy, exactly the same passion came through to esports. Exactly,
which was awesome. It wasn't like a case of just having everyone just like huddle in and just sit down and freaking all quiet and shit.
Just be like, antisocial and be like,
yeah. Am I allowed to cheer? Just check.
Yes, is that a little bit too loud?
Which was great. It just looked like a ball. It looked like going to any concert event, anything that I'd expect to have gone to at that stadium. And I've been there a couple of times for other events. It just felt like that type of level of production, that type of level of engagement, everything. It was just exact same, which was awesome.
Yeah, you got to get.
Aussies definitely won it.
Yeah,
and apparently getting it right.
The crowd showed. The crowd showed themselves pretty well. It's confirmed. I believe I haven't heard anything say that it isn't after it was reported that IEM Sydney is now a permanent stop on the calendar. So there will be one in 2018.
Damn, that's awesome.
Even if it's not confirmed, I feel like it's really hard to not justify it. Like the event did really well. The guys at ESL Australia knocked it out of the park. Intel and all the Intel correspondents obviously knocked it out of the park. Like it was a really good event. There's no reason you wouldn't bring it back there. The players enjoyed it. The casters enjoyed it. The analysts enjoyed it. All the talent enjoyed it. Yeah, the crowd enjoyed it.
The money enjoyed it, obviously. It flowed in.
It was a really legit event. So I don't see any reason they wouldn't bring it back.
That's good.
It's an exotic spot for them as well.
Yeah.
And they travel all around the world. Why not Sydney as well?
Well, even for them visiting, to think the venue is in the middle of the Olympic grounds, so even for them it'd be like an awesome experience staying there and stuff. Not just being dumped in the middle of an industrial city or some shit. Just have something like, move out of the way, the coal truck come through. What did you think of the matches, Nate? You would have been stoked about seeing these teams come here and seeing them like literally like a meters away from you. You're like, he's right there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not like a crazy fangirl, but of course it was cool. It's always cool to just realize that, yeah, this guy is legitimately one of the, if not the best player in the world, and there he is standing right there. It was
human.
It was the best part of IEM to me was how good the actual quality of the matches were. Like there were some really good performances, and to see SK where they are again, to kind of kickstart off really at CS Summit, but to then boot it back with IEM Sydney, it was cool. It was cool to be a part of that, because that's something in CS history timeline that is owned by IEM Sydney now. It was a really good way to start it. Success like that, games like that, the feedback that they're getting, it all ties together, and the games being really good is important to that also. If the games were dog shit and everyone came over and said, oh, flying 20 to 28 hours or whatever flights we got to Australia is fucked, and we're all too jet lagged, and that's why we played shit, then that would be really bad. But it was a super legit tournament in production and actual quality that came from it. So yeah, that's how the games were.
Was there any players that stood out for you particularly?
That stood out? Keo from FaZe, but he's been looking good for a long time. I kind of did want FaZe to win it because I think like they've got a really explosive, cool style of game right now that deserves the spot that they currently are. God Fallen though, you can't stop that, and I don't think
you win ham.
It's the way SK win games and how disciplined they are makes it the best CS to watch. Like it really is the best CS to watch. So I could say, look, Phelps or even Fur was, absolutely dynamite that tournament, but the entire SK performance was so good. Like Taco picking up the AWP, knocking it out of the park. So there's a triple threat of AWPers on that side. They show their versatility. It was a real big flex. SK, you never disappointed watching them.
And it was great to see because you could clearly see what it was about SK. They completely just dominated FaZe in the end. That's what I love. Like someone like me who's not a heavy CS esports fan or a follower of it, I could also easily distinguish different traits in the teams and different players' abilities, or even just like their own little style and whatnot, which was really awesome to see, especially watching like FaZe take on Astralis and then move on to SK and just see the complete dynamic shift in that, depending on what their strength was. Like they're almost the biggest strength against Astralis became the biggest weakness against SK in the final. That's how I felt it came across.
Yeah, for sure. It's that chaotic style that they can do right now, where they can go to set to on the fly, really turning up the pace and creating a lot of chaos. But yeah, SK is so disciplined. Everyone struggles to do that against them. And then you get to watch, great leaders like Carrigan adapt, and while Astralis was still in Glaive, and it's super legit tournament, right? You could sit here and talk about these games for fucking hours.
Marty, anyone stand up for you?
Look, for me, it was Fur. Fur just did so much fucking beautiful work. For me, it was more of the quiet achiever for me. Like, he was constantly giving so much info to his team, letting them know exactly which angles to look and to cover, where not to bother about wasting any of their time and effort. Like, for me, he was the real silent achiever.
You love your supporters. You love your supporters.
Being a support player,
You love him. You love the one that
he was.
You love that little silent foundation guy that's in the corner there doing all this stuff no one's watching. Everyone's watching here. It's like the typical magic trick with the distraction over here. It's like, look here, and this guy's like setting everything up.
I've got to look over there. Fuck you. But for me, I really wanted to see Nico turn up. I felt like he didn't do bad, but I didn't feel like he really showed up.
There was one game in the finals where he absolutely was like. It's crazy, isn't it? Because some of the things that Nico can and will do, because he's Nico, you come to expect more, because his skill ceiling is so fucking high. So like in some of those games in the final, he was absolutely keeping FaZe in, like single-handedly. He was winning 1v4s, busting out that freak game sense that he has, keeping them in it. But you expect more because it's Nico. You expect something just completely fucking bonkers. So the sad thing is they needed something bonkers to get out of that. When SK were really swinging, they got their grips in deep. They couldn't break it. It was so hard. And then you had that glorious overpass game where it was just literally win-loss, 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 like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
It's fantastic. The last game of the finals?
Overpass. That was the final one. The final map, yeah,
it was overpass. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, crazy games, crazy tournament. We could.
And it was nice. Was a final comment. Sorry to cut you off. It was nice seeing the Aussies knock North out. Like, at least we didn't just go there and get demolished and booted out.
Like
at least we knocked out a European at our house with us. So like, hey, you're coming with us.
I honestly, as much as I really like that, it was the victory over Renegades that just made me happy for the Chiefs guys. That was dominance. That was dominance by them, and I think a real big foot to the floor in terms of, hey, Oz CS back home is still kicking.
Well, when you take out North, they're not exactly a small team.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that's not to kind of put minors down or other competitions, Mountain Dew League, etc. That's not to kind of sway their relevance, but it is just nice to have two Aussie teams clash at a big tournament like that and have really the underdog ring the bell of the other. It's just, to me, it signals healthy competition and a lot of talent that's still bubbling here in the local region. So that's why it's cool.
Well, hopefully it raised a few international eyebrows at the same time too, that may have not had the chance to see that potential.
Yeah, exactly.
Contracts coming, you reckon? Overseas transfers?
I think so.
I think it's something that has to be done, just because if you're going to host a tournament like that year on year here in Sydney, you need to build competition here. So there needs to be some infrastructure built around that. I think it's something that has to be done.
It really wasn't that long ago that Thorin was actually talking about, teams like that could look at poaching stars from AU, and likewise AU from NA as the money rises. But I think there are a lot of candidates down here that could do really well in entry level and even some tier 1 NA teams. So I don't think it will be that long before people start getting offers and leaving Aussie shores for the international opportunities. I think honestly you'll see a few of them this year even.
Good. I think that's what we need. We need to brew up some top tier competition here, and proving that there is some sort of competitive level here to take on that is important. Yeah. I think for me, probably it's probably an obvious choice for someone that knows these teams, but for someone coming freshly in and actually trying to engage in a full tournament like this, Cold Zero stood out for me. But like I said, see, Nate's already nodding because he's like, "Yep, that's a given." But that that just proves testament to how good he is, right?
Well, he was voted the best esports player in the world last year. And when you talk about teams like FaZe and SK going up, you would have heard it multiple times on streamer at IEM Sydney if you were there. They talk about the battle between Cold Zero and Nico, these two guys who really are constantly in dispute at the moment for the #1 spot in the world, like absolute superstars of the game, legends of the game right now. So it wouldn't have surprised me if you said Nico or Cold Zero, which is why I was nodding my head, because they're both absolute freaks.
Yeah, it was almost art watching them play at times. You just see them, you're just like, wow, like you just playing that so well. Like everything was thought out.
That is why I said that SK playing that form of CS is the most entertaining to watch, because they are so disciplined, they're so sharp, they're so crisp underneath falling. Yeah, the structure is so deep that usually they are making things look absolutely perfect. So it's entertaining for us. I wouldn't want to.
I've always been a person who I'm attracted to a team that's disciplined, a team that's structured, and you just see that synergy between the players, as opposed to, I wouldn't be attracted to a team like FaZe, let's say, who is less disciplined in terms of synergy, and they're more like you got like a superstar stack team, whereas you don't see them work together as well as SKR, and that's what I think that's what ultimately why FaZe got dominated by SK in the finals, because of that reason. You could just see the structure overtook the whole like Lone Star, the Lone Wolf superstar roster.
Well, that's the thing with when, you know, FaZe is even a bit of a difficult team to talk about, because Carrigan is such a versatile shot caller that team can try and play very aim heavy, and to their strengths when it comes to 1v1s, or they can be very tactical and set, and it's really how frequently they switch between those, when if they time it right and read it right, and it can give teams like SK trouble. If you look at SK having trouble with a few Chinese teams in the past when they've managed to make it through minors or you know, regional or remote tournaments where they've managed to make it in, they've had trouble with Asian teams a few times, and that's because of how wild and aim heavy they play. So it can work, and you know, FaZe winning Star Ladder, they really showed that really aim heavy, dominant, willing to take 1v1s, a lot of confidence, that real raw aim style of winning is still a thing. But yeah, when you see SK shut out like that, that's what I mean. It looks so dominating. It's
and that was
they're a disgustingly good team, well disciplined.
Exactly, and that was why it was such a like, coming back to your original point, that it's just such great quality games being played, because you saw where that worked to a strength against Astralis, and then you took it to the finals and you saw how that played into a weakness against SK in this tournament particularly, and being able to just so clearly read that just added that whole new layer of entertainment to the tournament, which was great.
I mean, another thing that really helped IEM Sydney was, you know, 4 teams there were in the top 10 in the world. So literally half the tournament is stacked with absolutely brilliant teams. So you were always expecting to get some pretty stellar games there, as well as, you know, decent upset potential too.
So what else took place at the IEM weekend was beyond the actual event? Was there any after event stuff going on? And tell us a bit about that, because unfortunately, you know, I missed that. So it'll be sick to hear what you guys got up to.
You missed the Twitch party, man. That must
Twitch party.
That would probably sting more than IEM almost.
I was twitching, don't I?
Yeah, the Twitch party was.
The ribs were good.
The ribs.
Party fucking. They were handing out ribs.
Yeah, they were handing out. They were handing out ribs. What? There was a guy just there going, "Yeah, well, for you, mate." And
quite literally, yeah, with a tissue in the other hand. Handing out tissues and ribs.
A plate of ribs and tissues.
That's Aussie as fuck.
Yeah, they had ribs, they had pies, sausage rolls. Of
course they did.
These little canapes.
Yeah, please tell me you asked if the pies were 4 and 20.
I think they were patties, actually.
Real good catering. If the guys from Twitch watch this, the catering was good, and Marty fucking loved the ribs, mate. Like, he loved them.
Give us some ANZ Stadium ribs. That shit was legit.
How many did you down?
Oh, probably about 7 or 6.
7, nice. Almost got a whole rack in this.
He was loving it, man. He was.
Where's the rib, man?
Was he on? He was just patrolling around.
Yeah, patrolling.
He almost sniffed it out every time. He's like, whoosh, just whips his head over. Awesome. Oh, I'll be back.
Should have said to him, keep him coming, mate. Yeah,
that's my rib sense.
That's awesome. What else went down? So where was the party held?
ANZ. Yeah, it was ANZ Stadium. It was fucking really good.
In a room or like in the actual stadium?
Literally in the stadium.
What, like in the center of the fucking stadium?
Yeah, no, like not in the center.
Like the second and third.
Oh, okay.
It was in like a venue inside the stadium, but from the back bit of where the party was, you were literally on a big balcony, like looking over the ground.
Oh, okay.
It was fucking cool.
When you said that, I thought you were actually on the field, out like the middle of the freaking stadium, kicking
Grass
field
is so
goals and eating ribs at the same time.
Nah, grass is more important than 1,000 nerds. The people at the stadium.
Yeah.
It's like, get on the fucking grass, mate.
Yeah. 100
Comes by and
They
will
plot
not.
their grass. Yeah. Had all these fancy lights set up to keep it growing.
Nice.
Tune and check.
Yeah, they did.
So
Yeah.
just a scientist going down there every now and then, checking,
Yeah, probably.
writing down notes.
Yeah, they would be, man. They got to
Watching
regrade
pH
that
levels
shit.
are adequate.
Nitrogen levels. Tick.
That's awesome. So what? It was just like a big socializing event, yeah?
Yeah, basically free food, free piss for like 5 hours.
Wow.
And probably about 8, I don't know, maybe 500-600 people or
And
something.
they opened it up to the public.
Yeah. It was open.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Like it was open enough to the public. If you had like some sort of source to get that message to
Yeah.
your inbox,
Yeah.
then yeah, it was open to the public.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So,
it's not.
yeah, if you were on the invite list, it was easier.
And you're already on there?
Yeah, I got these guys on because obviously we were with them on the weekend, and obviously I had VIP through Twitch. Again, guys, if you're watching it, thank you through Immunity.
Nice. Well, look at that. Freaking anything can go down after the finals, or was that it? It was like, well, finals over. Here's the trophy. Get the fuck out. Because that's what it felt like, man. It was just like, well, they've won. Cutting the stream.
Yeah, well, they did their Henry G segment, which was fucking awesome. And then they wrapped it up. You know, they had to pack down that whole thing that night. So they had a lot of work ahead of them. But you know, the players, you know, went and did whatever the hell they wanted. There was the party was the night before because of the work they had to do. So yeah,
it was just funny how quickly it just wrapped up. Like the game was over. They like hand the trophy and just get out.
Come on.
Well,
Red cleaner coming on like clean.
it was already
clean.
8. So it would have been what, 8 or so when the game finished, sometime around then. So
at the end of all of it, do you think it was worth the ticket price?
fuck
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
Well, there you go. That was
It
simple.
was actually probably like a pretty decent price.
Yeah.
100 to 150. It's a good price.
And that was they gave you actually 3 days access though, didn't it? Or only 2?
Well, no, it gave you 2. Gave you 2, and you know the premium show bag and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, what's in the show bag?
There was, and
But you did it like, where's my show bag?
no, there was the IEM Sydney jersey from BLK, really good. There was the IEM Sydney stubby holder. Fuck, there's something else I can't remember.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is.
He's not gonna wear that because it says Sydney on it.
It's white and blue and says Sydney. That's definitely for the wall.
Here he comes. You know you're never going to wear that because it says Sydney on the front, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you
Just,
actually...
like, scratched out. It's just like Melbourne with like the opera.
And you got your laser right the whole words. It's just MELB.
Yeah.
Handwrite your name on the back. No,
Nah,
but it'd be sick
I'll
for you to
end
get
up
that.
wearing
You should have gotten it signed, but if you ran into anyone. Fuck, get Nate to sign it. Freaking manager of immunity. There you go. That's a good start.
That is the fucking that is the fucking gayest soul signature.
Just one cig of a manager.
Yeah, that's it. You never know. It might be worth something in a couple of
I'm
years.
more of a fan of the background work that goes into esports than the actual players.
Just one signature from Nate.
So yeah, that was IEM Sydney, man.
It's fantastic. Definitely worth your time next year.
And
Or
it's coming
anyone's
back.
time.
Yeah,
It's coming back, which is
don't get fucking sick next time, Jesus.
because I chose to get sick. It's like I think I'll get sick.
Well, next year you are gonna choose.
I'm just gonna drag myself out in the just a corpse bag.
Just come spread the plague.
Across the
yeah, someone else did. There was like a lot of sickness there.
Oh,
so. Just have all your CS.
Imagine just having me stand in the middle of that Twitch party. Oh, can you pass us a sausage roll?
Oh yeah, just all over the plate.
Yeah. It always happens at cons, man. The con crud. Like,
yeah.
Right, nah, it's awesome, and like already they've announced other esports events coming here. Like Overwatch has got one coming up really soon. The qualifiers, isn't it?
World Cup qualifiers, yeah.
Yeah, so you're already seeing some
Sydney
build
again.
up, and I'm pretty sure they were waiting to see how IEM went before they dropped that.
Probably.
Because they haven't announced anything about venues and shit yet. I'm assuming it's going to be probably same venue, but yeah, they haven't said shit.
It's not far. It's not that far away, is it? I thought it was pretty close to taking place.
It is. It's like June, July, man. They haven't said shit.
Yeah, that's whack.
It is. But the teams that are coming are pretty awesome. The ones from AU. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the groups that we have.
Yeah. Like, I thought we'd just get, like, a lot of countries that are in proximity. But
Isn't Finland one of them?
Yeah, Finland's one of them.
Finland? Do I remember Japan?
Yeah.
Japan, I think Vietnam. Australia, obviously. And there's the two more.
I'll bring it up here.
But yeah, that's going to be exciting to have that here.
Sweden, Australia, Italy, Portugal for Group C. Group D's Finland, Japan, Spain, Vietnam. So
those two, yeah.
Sweden, Australia's Finland, Japan, Spain. All pretty damn strong teams.
Yep.
Australia's probably the weakest.
As long as Australia doesn't choose the army of YouTubers again.
Oh yeah, army, and then a Zenyatta main to play Winston for 2 games.
Zenyatta main. The payload, payload. But moving on from IEM, Quake Champions. So
Quake Champions.
These arena shooters back.
You start this time.
Me? Oh, okay.
We've all played a little bit. Just to preface this, I've probably played the most.
You have played the most, hands down. I've always been a lover of Unreal Tournament. Back in the arena shooter days, I veered towards that more than I did to Quake. Although there were, quite from a casual perspective, they're all quite similar in their regard. Obviously, when you got competitive, it changed a lot. But that's why I was welcoming a new, like an arena shooter that is aiming to heavily revitalize that and actually taking an original existing IP and not creating a whole new one and going, arena shooters are back, and then throwing that out there to everyone. So it was really good to jump into that. And I think the one thing that was great initially with this, so I'll start with the good points from my perspective, was it was familiar. You walked in and it was instantly familiar. It wasn't, this is Quake 2017 and it's all different and we're going to put in all new shit and completely change what you knew about Quake. You just had that accessibility up front instantly. You saw weapons, you knew what they were. You're like, oh yeah, I know how that one works. There were some things that changed around to make the game new and added layers, but initially from the get-go, there was that awesome familiarity, which means I could get into a game and instantly actually put some effort in and go, oh cool, I can actually do something. I just jumped into it, which was great in that regard. You had a lot of familiar characters and whatnot, like so the Marine that you start with is essentially the Marine from Quake. Further to that, I like that it kept the core feeling of an arena shooter. It was sped up. They didn't go with like what speed you expect from a shooter nowadays. You were just like full speed. Like if you stopped, you're dead basically.
There's no way they could have though. Like that would have been absolute fucking sacrilege for a Quake game if they had done that.
Slowed it down, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that was good in that regard. I felt though, as you kept playing, you probably started seeing some of the holes in it, and I'm not sure. Well, before I get into the payment model, which is an absolute piece of shit.
I will be back in 1 second.
Yeah, see, Nate's already preparing for the payment model.
It's a payment model. Jesus, I'm out of here. Remind me when you're done talking about that.
Exactly.
And I'll be back.
Yeah, for me, the main thing with that is what I felt like with a game like Quake, you can't do much beyond improve your aim. So once you've mastered your aim, there's very little where you can go from beyond that, apart from it's just the typical, master the map and all that. But like if you're comparing to a game like Halo, which is a similar arena shooter in that regard, where you can use things like meleeing and you've got different things to change up your game, like grenades and all, whereas in Quake it's purely just a gun and that was
Destiny an arena shooter?
It probably falls more towards Halo than anything. Because it is in that regard. It is more an arena shooter than like a COD, a Twitch shooter or anything like that. But you got the same aspect in that, where you got your grenades, you got your superpowers, you've got different gun types that will can almost make aim aim useless, or make aim not as important. So I think with Quake, the layer beyond, you got the superpower, but then you've got just aim, and you've got just the gun, and you go, okay, now I've got my aim down pat. How do I improve my game from here? And
it's very raw like that, isn't it? You've got the way that your hero moves, whatever their ability is and passives, they're set.
And that's it.
They don't change. You can't customize them. So you've got that. You've got your guns, and you've got movement, which I think I said at the start. So it's a really raw game.
It's very raw, and I think gamers have come to expect more beyond that, just because of the way that the industry has cultivated them. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get this game to really have longevity because of that. Because once you get that whole, you get, it's either aim or you can't aim, or you can aim. And if you can't aim, pretty much you're going to go, oh, well, screw this game, right? It's not like Overwatch where it's forgiving. You got characters that compensate for shit aim or something like that.
Autoplay, right?
So yeah, I think in that regard, that's where the game is going to suffer a bit. The payment model is absolute pile of shit, and the gating of so much content.
I'm gonna go off a little bit here. When I first saw fucking Quake Champions, what was that? Was that at the Fallout, one of the original Fallout streams, or like the Bethesda conference when they announced Fallout? I'm pretty sure they announced Quake Champions at the same time.
Like 2 years ago, E3 or something.
Yeah. Whenever it was, I saw that and I said to myself, Quake Champions can probably be good, but Bethesda will fucking cake it somehow. They will absolutely cake it somehow. And this is it, guys. Bethesda, if you're listening to this is where you fucking caked it. The pay model is bullshit. Like, I know I was out of the room for the conversation about the game. I actually really like the game. Like, I've sunk a heap of time into it. Really clicks with me. But, damn, fuck you, Bethesda. Like, this payment model is just bullshit. Like this is the same Ubisoft fucking. This is where every major publisher gets into trouble with pay models like this. It's, dude, I don't.
They're all guilty. Activision, EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda. You guys are all guilty of this shit.
And it's crazy.
You all think you're a mobile game.
Followed them into the bin. Like this was a free-to-play game that obviously a lot of work has been done on. The initial reviews in terms of how the game plays and how it is mechanically have been really good. How did you fuck the pay model up so bad? So anyway, it's an Injustice 2. It's whatever it is, guys. If you don't know it, it's you have to buy shaders. You have to pay a real money premium currency to buy heroes. Short of that, you can use your in-game currency not to buy them. You can't actually use your playtime to buy the hero. You can fucking rent them for a day until you can be bothered getting a $5 out of your wallet.
That's like renting games, man. That shit's just pointless nowadays.
It is. Yep, here you go, mate. You can rent Sorlag for 24 hours like it's a fucking new release.
So does that mean
Blockbuster.
They rent my currency, so I get my currency back after a day as well?
Mate. Yeah, this is full Soviet Quake Champions.
Soviet Quake Champions. More like Video Easy Quake Champions.
Yeah. It is. It's Blockbuster Quake Champions.
Yeah, that's what it is. Make sure you swipe your Blockbuster member card when you pick the character.
And even worse than that, they've got like, I don't know if you guys have played Black Desert, but there's that cash shop model now where there's kind of like an in between the currency you get for playing the game and the premium currency. It's kind of like a semi-premium currency that can be used for crafting gear and shit like that, cosmetic things. So they've got one of them which kind of takes off of a really bad like Overwatch or Blizzard loot system where if you get a duplicate, you get like 10 of this currency, but to buy an epic piece of armor is like 5 to 8 times that, despite if you get get it twice, you'll get a tenner. So
it's like dusting cards in Hearthstone.
Yes, it's a real Blizzard pay model. So yeah, I don't know how they fucked it up so badly, but here we go again, and this is where they will struggle. And
I don't understand why they just don't take a look at, like, for example, Dota 2. Just go cosmetic. That's all. We're happy to pay for cosmetics, but just keep cosmetics if you want pay gated, and make sure all the functional shit is obtainable through the game. Because this whole bullshit where the actual functional stuff and the actual stuff that will affect the game or affect the player's skill is gated behind.
I mean, Jesus Christ, the currency that you make for playing a game, your steel in For Honor or your RP in League or whatever fucking game it is, everyone has one. Whatever your currency is for playing in a game, you should be able to use that to permanently unlock heroes, not rent them for a day.
Exactly. Rent them for it.
Like,
that's pretty funny system.
It's ridiculous. It's just
crazy.
It's supposed to be getting better, but it feels like it's getting worse.
It's not. Like, unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and say it. A lot of other people will think it, but Bethesda's glory days, I think, are fucking behind them. Like, that's how it feels to me. This is like another. Yep, we're really going down the rabbit hole here, guys. God, I can't remember their name right now. That's so bad to me. The guys who made Prey, Arcane.
Oh yeah.
And Dishonored, right? They're absolutely brilliant games. Bethesda being the publisher, Bethesda is starting to have that 2008 EA sheen. They're starting to get a bit of that now, I think. And it really doesn't resonate well with me. I didn't think anything of Fallout 4 at all. Obviously, Prey and Dishonored 2 did very well, but again, Arcane responsible there. I don't know, man.
I feel you. Bro.
And the sad thing about that is, I think Quake had a very good chance. Aside from that,
it's a
I
shame.
think they're really going to struggle because
I would have rather pay up front for the game, have everything obtainable through it, instead of the shitty play it if you like it, spend some money, because you always end up spending more than the copy of the game anyway.
The other thing that really shits me,
Mighty and Dota 2 will know firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We didn't need another launcher either.
What was that?
We didn't need another launcher either. Maybe it doesn't bother you guys as much as it bothers me, but even Steam is a fucking pain in the
Steam, you take enough of my
that.
resources for me to have to deal with another launcher.
Yeah.
I think the only launcher that I actually don't mind is Battle.net.
Yeah, Battle.net's fine.
I think maybe because the amount of the store's pretty shit. I think it's just because there's the amount of games in it are minimal. That's probably why. So when you go to Origin or the UBP Play or you go to Steam, you use freaking like hammered.
Honestly, I think the only reason I can stand it's now Blizzard launcher. It's not Battle.net anymore. The only reason I could stand Battle.net was because it was Battle.net. It was the evolution of Battle.net, and realistically, Battle.net was the first service we were using like that. So I think that's the only way it got a free pass for me. GOG, obviously, they're the best store to me, at least. DRM free. Owned by CDPR or by one of their shareholders or something. Or their parent company. Really good launcher. Steam, unfortunately, the nails are in too deep. Origin, Uplay, Bethesda launch now.
Yeah. Origin's better than it was because it was absolute pile of crap when it came out. It's better, but it's still trash.
We played Battlefield 1 together. That thing is a piece of shit.
It's still bad.
That thing sucks.
I'm just giving credit where credit's due. It's better,
Origin launcher.
But it's like a gold turd now. It originally was just pure turd.
I wouldn't even call it
or
gold,
bronze turd.
I wouldn't even call it bronze. I would just say it's dried out a little.
It's gone white like a dog's poo.
The smell's gone.
The smell's gone.
Yeah, that's it.
A few cracks in it and stuff.
Yeah.
That's where Origin is. Piece of junk. So anyway, I'm not going to give Bethesda a not getting points for that.
Yeah. So then you really need. I think the payment model is really going to be the death of it. It's just insane how much they're gaining behind it.
I guess you'll see pretty shortly now that the free Unreal tournament, really the major competition to this game, is just around the corner as well.
And they're watching. They are watching to see what they should not do.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, the game on its own is not strong enough to support a model like that. You know, it's not strong enough. It's not a game like, needless I say, something with a following like, let's say Halo or something, that if they pulled that bullshit, you'd get the shits, but you'd be like, the game, people will still spend the money. But this game hasn't got a strong enough foundation in the core game to be able to support a payment model so aggressive.
I mean, the real Quake fan base, they're all like 40 now.
Exactly, man.
Plus.
They're planning for their retirement and shit. They don't want to put their money towards this.
Exactly. Got superannuations.
I want to put an extra percentage to my superannuation. I'll spend it on Quake. Take out my term deposit a month early and fuck.
The real core Quake crew, fuck, they'd be old now. The original market fucking fan base that you're going towards.
And it's such a shame to be carrot on a stick by all these companies who go, we're going to revitalize one of your favorite franchises from the 90s, and they just see them completely eviscerate it with this shit. They go, hey, you want it?
Now we're alive.
Pay it for it. And you just freaking pay me. And you're like, fuck. You know, what's next?
Gamers nowadays who don't know what Quake was.
A lot, man. A lot that wouldn't.
Some of them don't even know they wouldn't even know what arena shooters are. They wouldn't have had the pleasure of a real arena shooter. You know, the closest thing the closest thing they could somewhat attribute that to is like a Destiny or a Halo, is to get a feel of it. But to the true arena
Overwatch,
shooters,
man, that's the closest they'd be getting now.
Well, that too, man. Yeah, but that you don't have weapons on that one. I'm thinking something with weapon control and shit.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, in that regard, exactly. Again, that's the closest games that you could probably say this is kind of what it's like, but it's not like this. So arena shooters are insane.
It'll be interesting to see how Unreal Tournament does. I hope well. I hope a better effort than Bethesda has put in here, and it's kind of sad to say that because the game is actually great. I didn't realize how much I missed arena shooters, regardless of skill level. I didn't think I would be as into this as I have been.
I played it and I just love the intensity. I was just like, there's nothing out here that gives you this rush of adrenaline playing a game like this.
Yeah, it's so fast, huh?
Pressing
so much
shift
fun.
with Reinhardt into 6 people. That gives you a rush, man. It's worth it. And then
it was worth it.
He is good like that.
He is good.
Shifting into it.
So look, I'll take that opportunity to wrap up talking about Quake Champions because I think we've dumped on it enough. Yeah, if you guys did play it, and you know, with all our games, let us know what you think. Maybe we are being too brutal on it. But now we're going to go to Deadshot 2 with Cam, Injustice 2 with Cam. Cam, tell us about Deadshot 2.
Before we get into the competitive stuff and the stuff we've all looked at online and watched the streams and all, I'm going to start with the story mode in this. This is how you do a fucking story mode. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Street Fighter V, take notes. This is how you do it. It was insane. It was just so well integrated into the game. You start off, what's this?
Is there a way you can explain the story without spoilers, perhaps, or at least the beginning of it? Because I'm interested in this because all the reviews are talking about the story mode.
Yeah. Okay, so...
What's the context?
I'll explain... I'll give you a rough context, but then I'm going to tell you how they actually do it, how they execute it in the games. So the story roughly is, I don't know if you guys know spoiler alert just for anyone out there, just in case, but do you guys know the Injustice storyline of DC Comics?
No, okay, I don't. I only know from the first game. That's it. Right. Nothing more.
Well, we've played the first game, then you'll know. Essentially, the Joker tricks, and I think this is what veers into the Killing Joke storyline as well, is the Joker tricks Superman into killing Lois, and then Superman gets so pissed that he kills the Joker. And then after that, he comes to this realization that evil needs to be purged from the world. So basically Superman becomes like, a renegade type of rogue thing. Yeah, exactly. Hardcore as. And he creates a team called the Regime. So he recruits some of the DC heroes who join his crusade to actually vanquish
kill evil, not just lock it up.
Literally kill him, yeah. Obviously, Batman's on the opposite side, so it's like your Civil War type of thing. Batman is against killing, and it's
justice.
Yeah, so essentially, it's the heroes head to head. It's your Civil War type of thing. It's massive. So, what happens in Injustice 2 is the story picks up that Superman's already been defeated and all that from the first game, and it picks up from there.
DC Civil War.
Pretty much. It's like, it's a big freaking, it's huge. I think it might be intended. I think it's executed well than Marvel's in terms of the story. DC actually do really, really good story. So the way they execute it, they do it better. They make it more, I think, like more realistic in how it's done. It's got more dynamics.
Marvel fanboys are going to shred this episode. Thanks, Cam. Thank you.
I should have been wearing my Marvel shirt. But so you kick this one off, and Superman's in prison and whatnot, and then you've got like Wonder Woman and all trying to break him out, and then you're with Batman, who's trying to look, at the same time deal with all the evil that's happening and stuff. But at the same time,
fucking handcuffs.
Yeah. It's a Red Sun prison. So he's in this prison with the Red Sun generators around him, which diminishes his power. That way he can't just bust out. So he's literally just in a normal prison, but those generators are what stops him from being able to break out.
His superpower, yeah.
Exactly. So it picks up from there, and the story is dealing with that. And then you guys would have already seen this if anyone's watched any trailer. Brainiac comes to Earth and obviously tries to assimilate and take over Earth and basically steal it. He loves just collecting and researching shit. So between all that, it creates a story of, okay, Superman wants to help, but at the same time, Batman doesn't think it's worth releasing him. And you go through this whole thing. Obviously Superman very early, right at the start, gets out, and then it goes off there. Like it's almost like you've got two teams with two different ideologies, and then they're trying to take out Brainiac and thwart his plans, so they have to work together at points and all that. That's the context of the story. It plays out quite well. It's it's a typical story, typical ending and all that, but the way it's executed really gives you like insight into the events occurring throughout it and how it leads up to all that, which is really cool. So how they do it is, if anyone's played Mortal Kombat 10 or X, you would know exactly what they're doing. They're doing the same type of thing. It's just cinematic. So you start off the game, kicks you into a cinematic. And it might be it starts with Batman, let's say, and Batman's with Robin in the bat jet. He's flying around, and then
the bat jet.
The bat jet. He's flying around and shit, and he comes down to the surface of Gotham, and Cyborg's there, and then they get into an argument, and then over Superman, whether they should let him out or not, and all this shit, and then it just straight away cuts right into a match. And it's just like so seamless how it just cuts in, because the loading times are really low. So you don't even realize it's loading because it's loading in the background during the cinematic, and just bang, kicks you into the match. You got to fight him.
Kicks you in.
Yeah. You beat him, and as soon as you beat him, boom, back into the cinematic story mode again. So it's like an interactive story. It's pretty much just a big interactive cinematic, the whole story. It goes for it took me about 4 hours to clock the whole thing, 4 or 5 hours to clock the story mode, which is pretty decent for a fighter. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty decent for a fighter, except it was more than just quick time actions. You're actually fighting them, Yeah. What's really good about it for a fighter is you get to try all the characters out while you're going through stories. So not only are you getting this context, characters are given reason, they're given resolve, but you're also getting to try out all the movesets. You're getting to feel, which character you like. There are points in the story where two characters,
it's a really, really cool way to kind of drag you through all the heroes and
takes you right through the roster.
Get to have a taste of everything. It's such a cool way to do it.
Yeah, you don't get to play everyone, and mainly a lot of the villains, but you do come up against all of them. So you do engage with the whole roster, and you do play a majority of the roster through it. There are points of the story where you choose between two. So Green Arrow and Dinah, or Black Canary, are together at some point, and then you got to choose between which one you want to use against them. And I think there's a total of 75 unique fights in the story from what I've seen. So you can go back at the end and then do the fights with the other character that you didn't choose. And that allows you to complete the whole story. The cool thing at the end of the story is it forks off. So you get to the end of the story and you actually choose whether you go with Superman's story or you go with Batman's story. And it actually gives you a completely different endings depending on that. And I haven't done it yet, but you can actually complete all of that, do both alternate endings, and that's how you complete the whole game completely.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that. I felt like just even playing the story was enough for me. Like I got my money's worth.
It's a cool thing to be able to get out of a fighting game now, because it's not like all of the fighting games have had terrific stories historically. Even that is kind of a rare thing, but really to get more value out of a game through a single player before you touch the multiplayer, which is where they tend to end up now, is that's a pretty good, pretty rare thing.
It is. It's great. And you know, your original fighters, like Marty, you would know this hands down, Street Fighter 2 and all that. What did you do? You just do arcade mode. Exactly. Arcade mode, you finish it with the character, you get a bit of his story. You know, you finished it with like Terry in King of Fighters, bang, you get a bit of his story. Then you play through again as like Ryo or something, bang, you get a bit of his story, you know? And like, it just didn't feel, it didn't connect. It just was like, oh, you just got bits and pieces here. But this one completely fleshes out the whole context of the story. See, the confusing thing with Street Fighter is Street Fighter 5 in the lore actually falls before Street Fighter 4. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Cool. It's Street Fighter 5. It's not after Street Fighter 4. It's before it. You look at the story.
That's good because of the type of fan base it has. If you look at the Metal Gear Solids, they did that as well. They've jumped just fucking back and forth all over the joint in the Metal Gear Solid series. And some people would play through them or look at them, not understand that, but the hardcore fan base absolutely do.
Exactly, the hardcore fan base will know. But if you play through, and obviously this is a time thing, but if you play through like Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3 and all that, the way the story modes or the arcade mode is structured back there, where you just get drops of the information, you don't know where they all fit in. And there's a shitload of Street Fighter games. You got Alpha, you got X, you got all that stuff. So having these modes allows you to easily see the Injustice flow into Injustice 2, whatnot, and even with the Mortal Kombat series, how that's just flowing on because of they're doing this cinematic thing. So I think NetherRealms have really nailed a really fine way of telling stories in a fighter, which has never been tapped into before. And I think that's a massive achievement. I think it's awesome that fighters are now can be brought up to that cinematic storytelling level and not just be told, here's a couple of characters on a roster, bash each other's heads in, we'll tell you a little bit of story, and that's it. It's all about the fighting.
Yeah, okay.
So how many heroes in the roster and how many can you unlock?
So you start, you can only unlock one, and that's Brainiac by finishing the game. Darkseid you can purchase for $8 Australian. And everyone else is unlocked from the beginning.
There's it's probably spoilers if we talk about hidden heroes. That you have to go like off.
There's DLC heroes, 9 of them that are coming out, and they've revealed 3 of them. Well, they have revealed 3 of them to us, but people have sifted through and figured out what the other 6 are. So they released a DLC preview recently, and Sub-Zero, Cersei, and Red Hood are going to be the 3 that are coming out in the first pack. But then they showed the silhouettes of the other 6. And people are speculating. One is definitely Raiden, you can tell. So obviously they're going to mix Mortal Kombat characters in, being the same company. Cross-pollinate, freaking Blizzard style. There's also, people are speculating Spawn might be in it, because they managed to, put Spawn was in Mortal Kombat X. So that would be really cool, just having a character like that in for the fun of it.
Just to have his cape though.
One of them, which actually, this is more like a bigger DC thing, is Watchmen. Dr. Manhattan looks like he'll be one of the characters, and this is like, this is leading back to DC now integrating Watchmen into the DC universe.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a bigger thing that they're trying to do there. And the other ones, they're tricky. Some people speculated who they might be and whatnot, but not 100%. Sure, it's just all speculation at this point. There are some characters I'd hope that they'd bring in, like so if you look at the silhouette, I think there was like who was it that I was hoping to see? Yeah, I think mainly for me it was like Spawn and stuff would be sick.
It's sad to me that the answer to Marty's question there was exactly the answer I was expecting, but not the answer I wanted by any stretch. You know, your fighter games of old, you play through the story and do something in a particular way, or just for beating it, you would get some new characters, but you can pretty much blow that out your ass now. Why would we put that in there when we can just sell it for $8?
I know. Yep. I mean, I miss the days of unlocking characters. I used to love when you'd have to do harder things, like maybe finish the game without losing at all. A single round, and then you'd unlock someone. Bane is in it, yes. So you got a pretty decent roster, like the characters that are in the game, which is really, really good. Like Supergirl's in it. Who was it? I don't think it was in Injustice 1. You got your typical like Wonder Woman, your Flash. You got your Harley Quinn, Superman, of course, Batman, of course, Robin.
Spectre, Scarecrow.
Yeah, you got Scarecrow in it, Poison Ivy, Captain Cold. And what's really Green Lantern, Dr. Fate. And what's really cool is some of the characters actually have a shader, but the shader is a complete reskin. So for example, I could get Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and then use the shader, and there's a John Stewart shader, so he actually becomes John Stewart. Or for Flash, you can get a reverse Flash shader, and he actually changes completely into reverse Flash. It's not just a color swap.
Off the Nightly Share.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah. Didn't know he was a DC.
Well, he is now, mate. I think people are speculating Constantine might be a DLC character too, which would be really cool.
Of course.
Can you play Alfred? Just throw plates at people.
Just throw plates and discipline at people.
Here are your keys, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? It's good in that regard. The nice thing is there is a bit of endgame content. It's similar again to Mortal Kombat X with its towers, the different living towers they called it in that. In this one, they've called it the multiverse. And what happens is you go into the multiverse, you have different planets, and they have different situations happening on them. So you get to choose one, and then you'll have fights with conditions, you know, like if you use a super move, you're going to take damage, or there'll be fights, and they have levels as well. So your characters can level up, you can acquire gear. This gear and all that only applies to the multiverse mode. It's just like a way of having like...
That's pretty damn cool though.
The gear is great because the gear not only augments your character, which allows you to attempt harder content, but it actually changes your character's look. So you actually have 5 slots on your character. You can change the equipment and create your own version of Superman. So combining that with the shaders, which is just color swapping, you get to create your own version of Superman, how you want him to look, which is really awesome. And
the shaders are paid though, right?
You can unlock them in game, but there is a currency that you have to use, and I think that currency has to be purchased.
Yeah,
which is really bullshit.
I
did start with some currency, but I can't remember if I got that from finishing the game or not. So if there is points where you do get that currency, but it's probably just trickled out to you.
It's probably sounding a bit narky at this point, but
it's the
same. You're paying for shaders, man. You're paying for shaders.
You're paying for colors. You're paying. Even Destiny didn't go that low. Come on.
Yeah, it's fucked, man. It's fucked up.
I'm not that extra dollar out here.
Yeah,
I will say
not into it at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say though that the equipment thing is really cool. I'd love in Street Fighter, for example, to be able to customize my Ken and have him look how I want. Not just have like a costume, but actually change. Like I want his hair to look like this. I want his shirt or this and that. Change it and then have my own version of it. I love that feeling that if you're going to dedicate that many hours to a fighter, a fighter is literally you just standing there and fighting someone else. You know, it's the same content over and over again, constantly while you're refining your skill. What's there to feel like the character you're playing is your version of like Superman? You can also do that cosmetically instead of just your skill set of moves that you use.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I like that part of it. Overall, look, at the end of the day, this is how I always assess a game is, do I think it was worth the money? I got my money's worth out of this game. I did. So I would say if you're a DC fan and you love fighters, hands down, this is a game you have to play.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean,
that,
yeah, it's
it's another conversation.
Yeah, I want to play it. It's meant to be great. It looks great.
Oh, it looks incredible. Unreal Tournament 4 engine for the win.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm becoming more jaded the more time goes on, but when a game asks me to pay for things like shaders, I can't help but look at it negatively. I really can't. It completely even removes my ability to look at the review there that says this is a great fighter, because I'm like, yep, it is a great fighter. That's all well and good, but why am I rewarding this company with my money when they want to charge me for a fucking costume color?
Well, it's because we spent time creating the shader and the colors, and we need to be compensated for that because it was outside the original scope of the game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. At what point are you paying money and getting the full game anymore? Like, okay,
exactly.
It cost you money. How about instead of charging it DLC, just increase the game by, $1 or fucking 50 cents across every copy you think you're going to sell, and do it like that. The DLC thing.
The DLC thing is a pain in the ass, and I'm sick of this trend where a game is announced and 5 minutes after the game's announced, DLC is announced, and it's like, can you actually make sure the game actually works, Destiny, before you actually start talking about your fucking DLC?
We will in the future, in a future episode of these podcasts, we will have a talk about Total Warhammer and Total Warhammer 2 for that exact reason. Which
leads me beyond Injustice into something that touches on that type of model, Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, do you want to kick this one off again? I mean, Destiny is kind of probably your baby, closer to being than
I'll kick else's. It off, but this is one that hopefully you two will actually get into this game when it comes out, and I hope that they don't do any bullshit to bar you from that. But Destiny 2, for all those guys listening who didn't know, Destiny 2's gameplay was revealed finally on Friday. They had a big event to release that and show everyone and talk about what was in Destiny. The problem with Destiny 2 is it's a glorified expansion to me. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. It's a glorified expansion. I can understand from a technical perspective why they had to go this route, why they've had to essentially separate this from Destiny 1, because it's probably something that you couldn't just patch in. But in the grand scheme of things, and this is something you could both relate to, it's like going from vanilla WoW to BC WoW. You know, when you went to version 2.0, when BC dropped and the games did significantly change fundamentally, that's what this is. It's a fundamental change on the core game, but we still have the same engine, we still have the same base mechanics. It's just a fundamental change across the board. So that's why it's a bit of is this going to be the new trend in games now? Because this isn't the only game that's pulling this shit. It's just the more obvious one, where games expansions, or what should be like an expansion, is actually being completely shipped out as a sequel.
Total War 2.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's why I said earlier that we could have a discussion about this in the future, but I can't. I'm trying to think of games where that's been a real big issue, and I guess you don't see it really with anything up until obviously now, and before that, MMOs.
But what I'm worried about is this will become the next trend, because DLCs, they started that shit, and now that's a problem, and this could be the next one that's shadowing that crap.
Well, you see that really what Destiny 2 is to some degree. I'm not going to say it is wholly, because they are bringing it to another platform and stuff like that. But really, what Destiny 2 is, and what Total Warhammer 2 is what people thought DLC would be when we first spoke about it. When developers first started going, guys, we're going to stop selling expansions. I'm going to start selling DLC, and your expansions will come as DLC. This is really what we thought it would be. We thought what Destiny 2 is, what Total Warhammer 2 is. This is an expansion. This is, I'll pay, not the $80 or whatever it was at the time. Maybe I'll pay 50 or so, and it's the same game really that I paid for, but with these new contents. So this is beyond DLC, I guess, is what I'm saying. This is beyond that problem.
So let's give them the benefit of the doubt with the glorified expansion sequel. and we'll go beyond that. So Destiny 2 is they've changed up the gun system a bit. They've changed how that works, but it's still the same core gunplay. It's still the same core mechanics. It's still the same story carrying on from Destiny 1. As you'd expect, it's a sequel in that regard. What does it do that's new? So they're adding in 4 new planets, something that we've been screaming for so long. But what I'm worried about is the 4 planets from Destiny 1, are they still in it or are they gone? That's a question I don't know the answer to. I can't find the answer to. That's something that worries me, because Destiny's trying to be built up to be like what they call a quasi MMO. So kind of like Guild Wars 1, where it was instanced content, as opposed to an MMO like World of Warcraft, where it's actually an open world that you run around. And if you're going to build a world like that, you can't just cut content off out of it. Like, just remove it. You know what I mean? Like, you go, oh yeah, this content's good, let's just can that. Here's the sequel, and it's the same game, but we're going to remove half of it and then tell you we've created more content. Again, it's like, this is just glorified DLC.
Yep.
You know, it's like, this is like 4 DLCs in one, so we're shipping it out as a separate title. That's where I'm like in between with it. The good points is they have listened to the community and they have fixed a lot of problems, which is great for new players. If you guys were coming into Destiny 2 as opposed to Destiny 1, it will be so much smoother. It will make so much sense for you. You'll get so much more worth out of it than you would have if you played Destiny 1. So many things have been addressed and so many things have been listened to. In that regard, I'd love to have seen this with fresh eyes, and I think to someone who hasn't played Destiny 1 at all, it actually does look like a really good game. Destiny 1, I sunk a lot of hours into it. As much as the grievances I had, there was a lot of good that came out of it. I got more than my money's worth out of that game, hands down.
Yeah, I could even say I got my worth out of it, and I didn't play it that hard, which is obviously what, you know, I spoke early about wanting to play Destiny 2, and there's always been that allure. But I guess I'll crap on, you know, Destiny 2 a bit closer to it releasing.
So from what we've seen with the new planets and there's new classes, another problem of mine is that they're removing a subclass to add the new subclass, and that's what I remember mentioning to you guys, which is a really weird design choice, right?
It's a crazy design choice, actually.
Sorry, they haven't commented on it, but what irritated me is for the class I play, the Titan, they're removing Guardian and they're adding Sentinel. Now, Guardian was a very defensive spec, and your superpower for that one was to open a massive bubble around you that was basically invulnerable to any damage at all, which was great. You know, in PvE, that worked really well. You'd always wanted Guardian Titan running around with you in that regard. You could also augment it to buff you or give you extra armor or whatever. There was so many things you could do with it. That's being replaced by the Sentinel spec, which still uses void damage. So they've got 3 damage types in Destiny. It still uses void damage, but you throw a shield like Captain America now. So I've lost my defensive play, which is very like weird. I'm like, I want my bubble. Like I want my bubble. I've got specs that are offensive. I've got Striker, which is your melee spec. I've got Sunbreaker, which is the one where you throw hammers from a distance at them that explode. That's great.
It's a crazy design choice, man. Can you think of any other game? Okay, let's just talk about WoW, right? Can you imagine they just roll in, they go, actually, Arms Warrior was cool, but now you've got, I don't know,
you've got Weapon Master Warrior.
Or, whatever, it doesn't matter what. They just rolled in and said, yeah, you don't have this anymore. You've got this now. You've
got the Blade Master Warrior.
Welcome to WoW 2. You don't have Arms Warrior anymore. You have something else. Like,
we're just going to remove it, and it plays completely different. And you're like, why did you remove arms? It was great. I'm happy to accept your new spec, but I want arms back. Give me my arms back.
It's just a straight up why. Like, why would you do it? Why
would you remove?
What possessed you to do that? Why?
Exactly.
What?
And again, you can see the frustration in how I would feel like. So again, we're removing content to add content. So are we really getting new stuff, or are we just having stuff replaced? Like, it doesn't feel worth it, does it?
It doesn't feel worth it at all, because it isn't worth it.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's that's really the point you make when you start analyzing it.
And in that regard, it's like, well, have you really learned from your mistakes of the past, or is this just corporate direction?
It's like that because there's not really an excuse for it at this point, right? It's not like someone in their position talking about Bungie. It's not like they could possibly be on the other end of that desk and not understand why people would be upset with losing the years they spent on learning that particular subclass in Destiny 1, thinking that this was Destiny, the 10-year project, this epic, meant to be an FPS MMO. Really, they pitched it kind of what Star Citizen and its modules will end up being, or what Eve and its modules were, I can't remember the name of the FPS they had playing there on PlayStation. What was it that synced in with Eve?
PlanetSide.
No, not PlanetSide.
You sure? You're pretty sure it was PlanetSide.
Maybe. If it is, then whatever. If it is, then it's the one I'm talking about. Or is that a different one that
synced in with Eve?
I'm pretty sure it was its own standalone thing, then died. Anyway, look, the idea is that that it's this multi-layered MMO, this really massive universe. That's how they originally pitched Destiny 2. I don't think anyone really expected it to be as instanced as it is. And when you take that away, you crush it up and kind of shovel it out as, this is Destiny 2, part 2 of the 10-year project. That feels horrible. Yeah. That feels really bad.
It's like how you would feel if you were given the Burning Crusade and vanilla was removed from the game, so you only played an Outland. That's the best way I can describe the feeling of this to you, to someone who hasn't played Destiny 1. That's what it is.
It's a pretty hardcore transition, but yeah.
Imagine that, Marty, just being given Burning Crusade and then told all your vanilla stuff's gone. You can't go back to Azeroth. You just live in Outland now. That's it. 6 zones. It's new content. It's new content though, but it's 6 zones and everything else is gone. And you're just going to play here. That's it.
This is your new sandpit.
Yeah.
But man!
It would be so frustrating.
So, yeah, it's questionable. They have, what I like is that they have listened to the community. So they are addressing problems, and they've brought in so many new planets and stuff instead of just new zones. So people are really excited about going and visiting places like Titan, which is, an actual moon that exists in real life. And they're going with... Yeah, they're going with the Jupiter's moon, and they're going with the methane ocean. So you're going to have a ocean of farts, basically. You're going to have all these structures on top of that. It's just, I love that. That's what Destiny, that was the fantasy of Destiny, going, oh my God, I can't wait to see how they bring these planets that we know about in our solar system to life, and allowing us to actually virtually travel there. And they're trying to be somewhat true to the source of it. But there's so many times they shout on us.
I feel like that's where Bungie has let themselves down and let Destiny down as a game, because they have this opportunity to really break open the fourth wall and do it well. But the moves that they're making for Destiny 2, despite the fact that they're bringing it to PC properly, doesn't look like it's a port based on the options they're presenting. They're expanding the platforms. They've got 3 different platforms playing this now? More? Do the 360 and PS3 play it? No, it's just
not anymore.
Yeah.
They stopped supporting that.
They've got 3 platforms playing it. They've got a potential to break this fourth wall. They had a potential here to add more classes and more subclasses and more individuality and customization to this game, and they're really squandering it. And I don't understand how, because this is a concept that when you look at on paper and you think about the money of ActiBliz and you think about Bungie, putting Destiny 2 onto Battle.net and how many people will see it and how well this will sell, I feel like there's not enough effort being put on the back end to combine Destiny 1 and 2 and expand on them as games. I don't see any justification in how you can sell Destiny 2 in what is ultimately, as we said multiple times, looking like really a DLC or an expansion, and go, yeah, this is a legitimate successor to our 10-year project, the MMO you guys wanted. The thing is, no one else is challenging them for it either. The closest would have been PlanetSide 2. Nothing's challenging them in this arena
Tribes
now. Like,
still exist.
Tribes. Yeah. That, like, you're talking about those kind of games. That's ultimately what Destiny is a successor to. So I don't, especially when they're going to release on PC and have be completely unburdened in that
biggest
market.
Comparison to Destiny, or the biggest competitor, would probably be Division now. The Division.
And even then, they're not even close. Like, I feel like that's a landslide win by Destiny. So where is the effort? Like, in an uncharted market, you're launching this onto PC. There's really nothing else like it around. Where is the effort from Bungie here and ActiBliz to really smash this out of the park?
It's like they're more worried about hitting timeline goals than actually delivering quality content. And that's what the frustrating thing is. Like, I would have been happy for them to have waited and released Destiny 1 now, and not have played it all those years ago, if it was going to be exactly what we were expecting, what we were promised, you know, all the lies and all that told. And this is getting back to Destiny 1, but there was so much bullshit that we were told, and that just didn't appear in the game. Oh, you get to get these amazing spaceships and you get to control them flying through space. No, what's a fucking spaceship? They're loading screens.
Yeah, it is, again, it's one of those
They're
cases.
loading screens. You get to choose what ship you see in your loading screen. That's what the freaking ships are. There was all this bullshit about being able to explore outside the tower and around in the area, and there was this cinematic storytelling and stuff. And they even showed cinematics that never made it into the game. They talked about planets that never made it into the game. They talked about Europa. They had concept art for Europa, this snow-covered planet that is a moon off Saturn. Never ever got to go to it. Never. It doesn't even exist. Well, it's like, what the hell happened to that? Where's Europa? What do we get? We got an expansion called The Taken King, where we got kicked in the ass and got given a shitty ship that sits outside Saturn, instead of actually getting like to go to Saturn or something like that. Like,
it just sits outside Saturn.
It is. It's bullshit because they started trying to get so caught up in the lore of Destiny that they forgot what was the initial attraction. The attraction of Destiny was this awesome idea that we got to explore the solar system. That's what, like, Destiny in a nutshell. We get to explore the solar system, we get to shoot, and we get to run around with these guns and with these characters, and just that was the driving factor. And they completely forgot that along the way, and they just started dropping all this shit content, and they started going, oh yeah, but it's story and it's this and that. It's like, we want like the essence of what you sold us initially, and it's like you guys have forgotten it.
That's what confuses me, because I think really for what Destiny promised and where it ended up and how well it ended up doing, I think they actually did then put a lot of effort into getting the game back to where it needed to be. And like you said yourself, there are a lot of people that, despite the fact that the game wasn't what was, sold in the press conferences and stuff, a lot of people got a lot of value out of Destiny. There's a lot of people that are really hyped for Destiny 2 because of that. So that's where it really loses me on how there's not a momentum to build this game instead of just offer a more polished version of number one. Yeah. This needs something. This is meant to be a 10-year giant project, like a huge MMO. What they've offered at 2 is good. Looks very clean, looks very polished. Everyone's hyped for it to come to PC, but there's not enough meat, mate. This is just wet pasta. We need some meat here.
I agree.
Shoot 'em on, eh?
The one thing that I will give this one a shot, and I do hope that they've learned from the mistakes, and what Destiny 2 is the platform that will deliver us that 10-year plan, that they are setting this up in a way that they can just constantly add to this one over time, and we're not going to lose content and shit like that along the way. We are going to get a completely built up story over time, and they're not going to have to go, oh, we got to change this, we got to change that, here's Destiny 3. None of that shit. I don't want to see a Destiny 3. I want to see Destiny 2 drop expansions for it. And drop some content patches for free. Like, holy shit, that shit works for Diablo. I have not paid any money towards Diablo since the expansion and the original game.
Well, that's all about to change, pal, with a paid-for class. So let's not even touch on that now.
For what's the life cycle so far? Like, what, like 6 years into Diablo? 5 years? 5 years.
Not long enough that you can start charging for classes.
Where are the content patches? Just
Blizzard,
in general.
I mean, Bungie.
I will say,
everyone at ActiBliz.
After reading up on it, I will say it is a smart move by them being able to leverage Blizzard's platform.
Of course, it's fucking
which is great.
Look at
even though Marty identified that they're probably welcoming it with their teeth clenched.
Maybe depends.
Look.
depends what percentage their studios make off of doing it, right? I mean, that's just a straight up, we have all these people playing Diablo, StarCraft, Hearthstone, WoW, Overwatch.
Subscriber base. The biggest MMO on the planet is going to get exposed to this game. That is huge.
Well, fucking not even just WoW, man. You have WoW, the biggest MMO, and you have Overwatch. You have both of those contents of audiences that have to load that launcher, and then they see, whoa, this is an MMO and an FPS. It's a brilliant move by them. It's absolutely timeless. It'll do wonders for them to do that.
They just need to give it the... I'm not going to say the Blizzard touch, because I don't think the Blizzard touch has any warrant like it used to. But they need to give it. They need to keep that level of quality coming out. They can't let it dip below. They have to at least match Blizzard's quality if they want to be running like alongside them like this.
100%.
This game has the potential to do that. It has the potential. The core gameplay is freaking amazing. The gunplay in this is freaking awesome. It feels so good.
I think it'll put the onus on Bungie a bit as well, because you will have that, these are the kind of things we're pumping out for our games on the platform. What's Destiny doing? I think it'll kind of put the onus on them a bit.
I hope there is some crossover as well, like in crossover in the sense that there is untapped knowledge between the two companies that like Bungie can learn from what Blizzard has learned over owning a MMO for 10 years.
I can't wait to see the Traveler in Heroes of the Storm.
Just an orb flying around the whole map. Can you imagine the guy who has to create that character? His job's piss easy. He just creates a circle and he just paints it white and he goes, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll just drag this out for this week's fortnightly pay.
That's it. The Traveler in Heroes of the Storm. That is going to be ridiculous. That'll be so funny.
That's what it looks like to me.
But at the end of the day, I'm still going to give Destiny a shot, only because number one, it did improve, and it did look like it was getting better. So maybe this is what we need. As much as we think we want something else, maybe this is what we need. We needed that hard reset, and they're going to create a platform that they can actually expand on really, really well, and we'll get that 10-year plan that we were promised, and we'll get that 10-year experience and story, and we'll get a whole new universe and lore that we can sink our teeth into, and it'll be a successful FPS quasi MMO or whatever you want to call it that just can't be touched.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would really like to see this take off and do well, because I think especially what was originally promised by Bungie, that version of Destiny is a game that I not only just wanted, but I think we needed as well. And Star Citizen and things like that show it, right? It shows that people are hungry for it. My intention is still to play it. There's still a lot of things I want to see picked up, but like you, I had a really good time with Destiny on Xbox One. So it's definitely my plan to play it on PC whenever it does release, whenever they drop some more info on that.
The one thing I can say for Destiny that I'm looking forward to is I've never had a social experience like I had with WoW until I played Destiny again. Having that social interaction and, getting in there and completing content together and feeling that virtual existence was great.
Well, out of interest, what year WoW are we talking? Because when I think back to vanilla WoW, no game has ever had the community like that.
No, I'm not worried about I'm not thinking about the community. I would say like my prime of WoW, which was WoW vanilla through to Wrath of the Lich King. When I say interaction, I'm talking about the fact that I get to jump on with friends. It was easy for a friend to pick up the game at some point and then do content with me. Whereas you almost like you struggle with that with other games nowadays. Whereas Destiny kind of held people in how WoW did, and that's what I'm looking forward to. What I did seem to manage to have with the original Destiny, and I'm hoping with this one, when you guys get on board and whatnot, that we have like a crew that we run with, and then you walk away from the game going, "I had a great time." Like just to have that, I had a great time with my mates.
Yeah, I think it's a delivery that's almost unique to MMOs, or at some point. I can definitely agree with you there. That that, that's the experience I want. But in fairness, it's the experience I want from every multiplayer game.
Of course.
It's just that Destiny isn't an exception here. I definitely want it there. I understand what you're saying. It's almost more prevalent in your MMOs. You expect it
because
more
you got active progression. Like how do you track progression in Counter-Strike when you're playing with friends as opposed to playing Destiny? It's so easy to track progression. I've cleared this content, but you might be playing Counter-Strike, you get better, but you don't have some bar saying you and your friends completed all this, so you're better, you're this, that. So I think that's maybe why what you're saying. It definitely is something unique to MMOs. So Destiny just allowed me to ignite that social interaction again, and that was great, and I'm looking forward to that with the second one.
You and a lot of other people, most likely.
Well,
looking forward to it.
What do you think?
Do you actually? Do you plan to play it, Marty? Do you have interest in playing it? I should ask.
I'll definitely fucking keep a close eye on it over the next few months.
Yeah, Marty holds his cards a bit closer when it comes to things like that, which is honestly more.
He does, and then he slips out a freaking 3 of clubs out of nowhere when he just picks up some random indie game and just sinks like half a week into it. So he holds his cards close to his chest, but one will slip out of nowhere, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'll run with that card."
We've got him playing. We've got him playing CS now, so that's all over. That's all done.
It's the next awesome, 10,000 hours cooked.
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least you get your aim ready for Destiny. Or lack thereof.
That's it.
Exactly. No, but that's good. So, I think we'll leave it there, boys.
I think that's it for episode 11.
Jeez, 11 already.
It is.
11 already. Well, I guess that's it then. Thanks for joining us. Hour and 40 in.
Yeah.
We will see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.
Thank you, people.